Our next guest is an author whose writings have been described as a mixture of Harper Lee and John Grisham. That's pretty good company to be in. His name is Jeff Norrell, and he's here to tell me about his latest book, Eden Rise. Jeff, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Danny.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure to have you. Now, did I say your last name right?
Norrell is
Norrell,
and
gotcha.
Professionally I'm Robert J.
Robert J. Norrell.
But Jeff.
Jeff works.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your book.
Well, it is a novel about, set in Alabama, 1965, in a black belt town, about 60 miles south of Tuscaloosa, a fictional place, but modeled on the neighborhood around Faunsdale, for example. And it's a story of what happens in a white family when their son comes home from his first year of college embroiled in civil rights activism.
Now, what inspired you to write a book like this? It's fictional, but it's steeped a bit in history as well.
Yeah, well, I'm a professional historian. I taught here at the university for 12 years, and now I'm at the University of Tennessee. I have written about the civil rights movement and about race relations. So the theme comes from my sort of intellectual professional interest, but I, for some reason along the way, wanted to try to write fiction, not as when I've been writing nonfiction for 30 years, and this is the result of it. I think there are things that I could probably say in a novel that I could not get said well in a work of history.
Now, tell us a little bit about your fictional locale, your own little Yaknapatawpha County, if you will, if you'll allow a Faulkner reference.
Absolutely. Now, I don't claim to be a Faulkner or Faulknerian, but it's about a place that is, if you can imagine, sort of south of Greensboro, not far from Demopolis, and it's a place that I used to drive through, actually, when I lived in Tuscaloosa going to the beach. And so I adopted it as the setting, but I created a town that's quite like Greensboro or Demopolis, perhaps, to set this family, this wealthy white family, whose son, they believe, goes astray, but they then defend. And in the process of the conflicts within the family, in the conflicts in Alabama in 1965, this is right after the Selma March, we start to learn about family dynamics and about racial conflict.
So, in a way, your chief protagonist, the son that you allude to, is he a little bit like Atticus Finch? Is that where the Harper Lee comparisons come from?
Well, the Harper Lee comparison comes from the fact there are a couple of dramatic trials in here, and there is, and one of the trials involves this young 19-year-old protagonist who is the defendant. But there also there's a notable lawyer that a fictional character I've created who is kind of like Harper Lee, not quite as virtuous as Atticus Finch, but every bit as tough and wily.
A bit more like a real-life lawyer.
Well, I think so, yeah.
That's going to get some phone calls. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming by and telling us about your book. And do you have a signing or anything?
I do. I'm going to be at the Tuscaloosa Public Library tonight at 5:30, and I'll be happy to talk more and answer questions. I'm going to do a little bit of reading from the book.
All right, super. We better let you get out of here because that's coming up soon. You can pick up a copy of Eden Rise by calling 334-834-3556 or online at newsouthbooks.com. And I bet Jeff will have a copy for you if you want it up at the library tonight. That's the Tuscaloosa Public Library. He will be signing copies of Eden Rise at 5:30.